I think of like a pharmacist, I think of like a person like in Walgreens or CVS or Walmart. So I ain't think like those jobs existed. So you can be like a pharmaceutical, because I know like they make money, pharmaceutical salespeople. Like, so you can be a pharmacist and then be a pharmaceutical salesperson, or that's not the same.
You can be a salesperson if you want to, or you can, but more often the pharmacist is a person that the salesperson goes to if a doctor has a question about a drug. So you're like a liaison between the pharmacy rep and the physician.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you can, so that's a big thing. And then you have pharmacists like, so if you go in the hospital and you ever peeked over and you see where they keep all the patient records, you know, they have these EMRs or medical records or whatever. So the big company used to be Cerner. So where I work, that's what we use. Mayo used to use that. So that maybe St. B's might still use it. There's another company now coming in called Epic. But long story short, there's a field called informatics. And you don't have to be a pharmacist. You can be a nurse. You can be whatever. But the informatics team, they get people from each discipline to kind of say, hey, what does the pharmacist think about this software? And what do you think we should improve on it? Same thing with the nursing aspect, you know. So they have pharmacists that do nothing but that as well. Just kind of give information on, hey, this computer system needs to do drug profiles a little more efficiently, you know, be able to check for interactions more efficiently, need to be able to write notes or write the discharge meds better, things like that. So there are other ways, you know, it's not just Walgreens, Eckers and things of that nature. It's branching out. It's academics too. I mean, you got to have teachers at your pharmacy schools. FAMU is big on research. People don't realize when they were thriving, man, they were doing all kind of research. They had a guy named Dr. Lee, Henry Lee, man, and this guy was getting patents after patent after patent, you know. Because I was in a program called MBRS, and, you know, we was in there working on rats and mice and injecting stuff and doing stuff with DNA. And then they had a big conference in DC where all the people came together from different schools. So yeah, but you think about it now, a lot of that funding has been taken away, right? Because a lot of your drug research and whatnot used to come from colleges, right? What does Dr. Fauci work for? The National Institute of Health. They started cutting their funding. So the private sector is trying to, your Pfizer's, your Merck's is kind of trying to do all the research. But at one time, a lot of that stuff was done in college. It probably still is, but not as much because the funding is being cut. But yeah, black schools play a major role. But I'll tell you this, in the state of Florida, when Jeb Bush was the governor, they had this tier system they implemented. And I think it's still in place. And FAMU was College of the Year, but Jeb Bush wanted them to be at the lowest tier in terms of research, right? People marched, me and my dad marched because they were basically pulling FAMU's funding. They're saying, hey, you guys are last in terms of research. Florida's first, UCF second, and y'all come third. But at the time, like I said, they were College of the Year. So the big chant was from College of the Year to bottom of the tier. Because that's how they aligned it, man. And so, I mean, you know, people been doing that kind of politics for a long time, and they're still doing it. They're just more vocal about it now, you know.
College of your bottom of that. That sounds like a rapper right there.
It does, man.
A black person made that slogan, didn't they?
I'm sure Al Sharpton had something to do with that. He in Tallahassee, they had something to do with that, man. You know,
I have a friend that went to pharmacy school.
Yeah,
I remember she applied, and I went to her graduation. And this joker ain't passed the pharmacy exam yet. She even failed a couple times. So I'm curious to know, how was that pharmacy exam?
Man, it's a beast, man. It's always been, and you got to think they're coming out with new drugs every year. Right. So people taking it now is harder than when I took it, you know, and the people that took it maybe before me, they didn't have as many drugs. I mean, it was always hard, but I feel for these kids now. And then they got tests now where I think they don't really have, you know how you got A, B, C, and E? Right. They got some junk called All That Apply. Well, there might be 3 right answers and 2 wrong answers, and you got to pick the 3 right answers. You know what I'm saying? Man. So they didn't have that when I was taking the NAPLEX, but it was still hard. But it's harder now. So yeah, it's crazy, man. So I mean,
did you pass it out the gate? You passed it one take like Jay-Z in the booth?
Man, you put me on the line. You put me on the spot now, man. I got students watching this, man. My daddy, if he figure out the computer, gonna be watching. My kids gonna be watching this.
Hey, he said, "Don't worry about it. I passed it."
but you know what? I thanks be to God I did, man. I was blessed in that regard. But I'll tell you this though, man. The older generation tries to say, "Oh, well, we we studied harder and we worked harder and that's why we passed. Not true. So there was a dude, I'm about to just, there was a guy from the University of Georgia, right, who used to do prep classes for all the schools, right? And he would come around and give you a prep class, right? So little belongs to us. Basically, he would give you a packet and say, okay, this might be similar to what some of the things you might see, blah, blah, blah. So we studied that. We studied a bunch of other things too. But at the end of the day, this man had to go, he had to leave his business. He had to leave University of Georgia because they said it was too close to the exam. Evidently, you know, it's one of them things where he was probably getting, you know, people that came out to test to say, hey, just tell me what you remember. And that kind of thing. So they actually shut the dude down, man. And ironically, after that happened, the grades went down, you know, and they want to blame it on the students. So,
the grades went down. Oh man!
Between you, me, and the fence post,
they shut down the card.
Hey man, they pulled the plug, brother. They pulled the plug, man. So, but yeah, man. So I try to encourage our students and say, hey man, you're the smartest students I've ever had. You guys work harder than we did, and you have a harder challenge in front of you, but you're going to be ready, man. And the other thing with FAMU, I'll be honest, is that a lot of other schools, they look at us as a retail machine in terms of, for a long time, most of our students took the Walgreens, the CVS jobs, you know, because that's where the money was. You know, a lot of us have a lot of loans and things of that nature, you know, and so they just kind of, when it comes time to getting these hospital jobs, they kind of discount us a lot of time, and we don't have a lot of the same opportunities. I guess the residency program. So now to work in a hospital, you have to do an extra year, and you know, we don't always get that chance. So when I say the brother gave me a chance to do his residency program, I got experience, and then it was easy to get a job in something, you know, specialized. So
for a person coming right out of college, like that's like the highest paying job for pharmacists is like the retail jobs.
At one time it was, right, and then it kind of went down. So I'm gonna tell you how the dope game and the drug pharmacy game were parallel. So salaries actually went down when the opioid epidemic went away. If you know, so you know, during the opioid epidemic, you know, I know some people that, you know, had run-ins with the law, pharmacists or things like that. But it was a really gray area, right? Because you'd have a physician writing prescriptions, and if you're a pharmacist and you just get the prescription, you may not know, you know, that it's that a guy has a pill mill. He's a real doctor. It's a valid prescription. But now, if you get 10 people or 30 people in one day, you know it's kind of a pattern, right? So and sometimes, and what happened was some pharmacists were in cahoots maybe with some doctors. And they were but so what happened? They start counting your inventory and, you know, why are you buying this much? And, you know, the feds, when they come, they look at everything. So anyway, but after that happened and that it kind of got busted down, they didn't need pharmacists as much, you know? But now ironically with the, we might be implicated in this whole COVID thing because who's giving out a lot of the shots now, you know, the vaccinations, right?
Oh, the pharmacist.
I was about to ask you about that. What you thought about this whole COVID thing, the shots, the boosters.
Right.
You know, you've been in school with research prior to this. So I'm curious to hear. You know, Dr. Fauci. He's been talking this noise for a long time, but I'm curious to hear from a black doctor. You know, what's your take on it?
You know, I mean, I studied, I researched it. I didn't get it right away, but I did get it, man. I got the shot, I got the booster. Because at the end of the day, man, when I start seeing the people saying you don't have to get it in politics, and then you find out all of them got it, you know, what are they hiding, man? Do they want us to die? You know? So, I mean, you got to wonder why behind the why sometimes, you know. Other than that, the science is there. You know, the numbers are there. I mean, I don't know. Way more people died from COVID than died from the shot. I don't know why Trump got the shot and didn't tell nobody he got the shot. Did DeSantis ever announce if he got the shot? But I'm sure he got the shot. The highest vaccinated population is like in Jacksonville is the affluent areas like Ponte Vedra.
It's politics, man.
He just told him out of breath. I'm like, boy, this lungs ain't no good today. That's a little cold.
That's that fool darn near died. He got experimental drugs, then had the nerve to wear his mask, take the mask off like he was like the Messiah.
Right. Right. They got a program in Florida where they give you free monoclonal antibodies if you're in a certain type of group, like if you're at risk. We give out free COVID antibodies. Our nurses go out, give them in the home. And I understand, the mask is natural, it's not comfortable, and things of that nature. And we don't wear them everywhere. We'll be honest. We go outside, you try to take, but you do the best you can. But when we didn't know anything, it's kind of all we had. We didn't have vaccines at one time. We didn't have, we didn't know where it was coming from. People thought it was on the ground, got Lysol.
And no food.
Leave your shoes outside the house.
Yeah, Lysol and grocery bags and everything.
Yeah, man. So people
bro,
take their clothes off in the garage, So.
Bro, hey, look, that's fact. Like when it first came out, bro, I went to Amazon. It was like, first off, Lysol was just way too expensive, man. I bought like a 24 pack of Lysol. It was like $115, bro. Wow. Like, man, y'all taxing, but you ain't know those.
At least you could find it though. You couldn't find the stuff. A lot of times, people making stuff, man. Making bleach spray,
making stuff.
Yeah, put bleach in an old Lysol can and try to spray bleach. Trump said you can drink it, put it in the vein.
Sanitizer that smelled so bad. I was like, is this tequila? I was like, this hand sanitizer smell like tequila and some bad alcohol. Like,
man,
what is this? But hey, I'm gonna use it. I had a gallon of it.
Right. I mean, if we looked at this 10 years ago, you'd be like, ain't no way. They got beer companies saying we ain't gonna sell beer. We just gonna make hand sanitizer. We just gonna put our alcohol in a bottle and make hand sanitizer. You can't make this stuff up, man.
50 years from now, they'd be like, man, what was they thinking, man? Like, yeah.
When I was coming up,